I knew I had encountered a kindred spirit when Z. Lacson and I first met to discuss the content for her episode. She is not only a talented writer, but a master of merch, a ray of sunshine, a natural humorist, and perhaps the best thing of all, a Trekkie. She takes us through a magical world, maturing her characters throughout her series, The Wool Gathering. Z creates a coming-of-age magic realism story that draws you in and leaves you wanting more. Despite saying that she had no background in writing, which is absolutely not true, as she has been writing since childhood, she talks about how finding a writing group helped guide and challenged her to create this highly addictive series. Come for the insight and information, but stay for the laughs. Thank you, Z, for trusting me and being part of the Indie Author Podcast. Now let's get to it.
Go.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be good now. I'll be good.
We're serious. We're serious. Hi. I'm keeping the original. I'm keeping all of this because this is how it really is in the real world of indie authors. So welcome you to Indie Authors. This is Z. Lacson. And so I was wondering about this because I'm Canadian. So would you be Zed on this side of the border? But it's
Everybody
Z.
else would be Z. I would be Z.
Okay. So as I do, I read out the your bio. So you were born and raised in Manila, Philippines, currently living in Chicagoland, Illinois. And I learned that Chicagoland is the area outside of Chicago. You taught me that, I think, right? Yeah, I think.
I will take credit for that.
Okay, take credit. And then the person who did will be like, liars. So
That's Zed.
yeah, damn you, Zed. You write young adult magical realism novels. Reverie, the first book in the Wool Gathering series, was published in 2020. It was a finalist in the 2021 Illinois Author Project. Revenant, the second book in the series, was published in 2021, and the final book in the trilogy is scheduled for release early 2023. So you've been quite busy. So let's look at the blurb for Reverie. So London is living a relatively sheltered suburban life. Her world changes when she dreams of a troubled young man living a life contrasting her own. Her recurring dreams make her question both her reality and sanity. Despite their differences in this implausible form of communication, she forms a strong bond with this boy, prompting her to make a conscious decision. She will follow her heart no matter what the cost. Okay, so I started the first one. Yes. Revenant. London Evans.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
The second book though, Revenant, the blurb of it might have some spoilers for the first one.
So don't read it. Don't read that.
Maybe not. Yeah.
It's more but different. It has London in it, so that
it's a little scarier. It's what I used to say is that, like, if you have these dreams, what happens when you start having nightmares? So that's what it's a little scarier.
I like that. If you have these dreams, you come up with good stuff. I have to say, you're very creative, and we're going to talk about that. Obviously, you're very creative if you wrote a book, but in other ways too. So we'll talk about that as we go. Yeah, I see what you're talking about here. Yeah, I guess it could spoil it a little bit, but there's dreams. I can say
there
that.
Are dreams.
Yeah. And she has no way of stopping them.
Yeah, she's not as lovey-dovey as the first one. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. That was good on you that you stopped me. Let's start about you and your writing process. So you've been writing since 2009 for fun. My notes say.
Yes. Well, I wrote Reverie in 2009, like the very first draft of it for fun. So that was quite a distance between when I started it and when it was actually published. But prior to that, when I was in high school and in grade school, you write for the fun of it. You can imagine your own little world in there and make your own friends.
Most of my friends have 4 legs, so I totally. and they aren't like gene experiments. They're dogs.
I like that you have to specify.
Yeah,
you're like,
because I was
clarify this.
Well, in this day and age, who knows, right? Well, I went on CRISPR and I made my own friends from anyway. So go on. So you were writing because you had no friends. No.
No.
Because that is very doubtful that someone like you would have no friends. So
No, you write little stories when you're younger and everything. And then I wrote Reverie because my husband had said to me, I told him I had a dream, and my husband said to me that would be a great short story. And so I wrote the short story and just kept adding to it until it became a novel-length book. And at that time, there were all these like uh secret jokes in there, like those private jokes and everything between friends, because I would write it for me and my friends, and they would read it. And then I realized that people actually liked the story and not just because they were my friends. So then we went through the editing process, which cut so much out of the original.
so your friends
Because
have the original one, which is like the friends version.
no,
And what-
I took it back.
Okay.
I had this one friend, right? She had the first draft manuscript that was printed out and everything, and she had it on her shelf. And I came to visit her and stole it right back. And like a few months later, she goes, "You took it?" And I'm like, "You can get the published version."
Yeah,
That
for X amount on on Amazon.
it's very different from the one that you had, but it's the one I want the public to see.
So nobody has it now, like, because
Nobody.
after you've stolen it from your friends' homes, you're like, "Hi, I just dropped by to see how you are."
I
Yoink, and then
miss you. Could I have some coffee?
you're like going through their drawers. Oh, I was looking for a Kleenex.
Remember that thing I gave you? Where would you put it?
Yeah. If you were a manuscript in your house, where would you live? Isn't this a fun game? Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. I love that you took everything back. That's awesome.
It never happened.
Well,
Never happened.
right? Like when you're like the next Stephen King or whomever, you don't want that stuff floating around, right? Just in case. And then they blackmail you, or they're like selling it on eBay for hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're like, what?
You're like, no.
Yeah. So, okay. So then you gave it to someone who's in your audience, so like a 17-year-old. Who was this 17-year-old that you gave it to? Just a rando 17-year-old or
Some rando?
Yeah. Hey,
She's
you,
a
right?
lot
You're
older
17?
now. She's got her name was Catherine, and she borrowed it and she started reading parts of it to her friends, and they would go, "Oh," and then she gave it back to me and she goes, "You need to write more," because it wasn't finished at that time when she borrowed it. So I said, "Oh, okay, I've got something here." So I just kept going, and then I would give it to a target audience who was the daughter of my friend, and her name's Ellie, and she read through it and she would like write little notes and stuff of there were some things that she would write like, "I don't know any 17-year-old that would say this," or "My friends don't understand what this means." So then I'm like, okay, we have to
Take it
work
out.
on that.
Yeah. So there's great benefit to it's going to sound awful, to recruiting 17-year-olds to work for you and do your bidding. No, I mean, there is.
No, we're going to put it this way. There is great benefit in knowing your target audience.
Yes.
And asking them to be beta readers for your book.
Yes, that is a way better and less creepy than find some 17-year-old kids and invite them into your basement. And then people are like, 911.
That's the quote for this podcast now. Don't put my name on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's excellent that you did that, because sometimes you do read, like I remember I was helping my friend's kid who's a little bit younger read not helping, but we were like, I was teaching her critical reading basically over the summer just to, get her ready for school. And some of the stuff in this one particular book, I was like, this is really adult. And I'm like, do you understand? Like, and so many references to things that there would be no way she'd know about, like the Nixon administration. Right. And I'm like, first of all, this kid's Canadian, so why would she ever know? But in Watergate, like and I was a baby when this was happening. I think I'd have to look it up. Maybe I wasn't even born yet, but and I was kind of like confused on the on the specifics of it, because she's like, well, what is Watergate? And I'm like, well, it was this hotel. And I'm like, oh, let me look it up on the phone. And so you're right? Because there were moments in how the character spoke. I felt like that sounds like something a middle-aged woman would say, not some young.
On the other hand, the advantage of being able to read like older age or adult topics and things like that is that you end up researching on it, and then you'll end up knowing about it. Like if it weren't for the fact that you went through that, you might never have known what Watergate is, but now that she does. When
I don't think she cared. She's like, okay, yeah, hotel. That. Yeah, what?
It doesn't matter if she cares or not. She's got that, so she'll kill it on, a Trivia Pursuit. I don't know, but like,
yeah, but I don't think if I weren't there, because that was it actually worked well, because I was like, this is what critical reading's about. Like, if you don't understand something, you research it. So it was a good teachable moment. But if I hadn't been there, she would have just been like, okay, Watergate, whatever, because it wasn't essential to the story. That was the part. It was just something in the background. And sorry, dog is growling at.
He doesn't agree with you.
Apparently, we have some sort of phantom that's happening. This is the second time that she's done this, and I feel like it's time to move because I don't.
Have you been talking about Watergate then too?
Yeah. Yes, it's Watergate. That's her attack word, Watergate. So.
But I used to read something like in high school. I would read a lot of Star Trek novels, which was definitely not my age group, right? But the cool thing about it is they mentioned something like, oh, this one character really liked Treasure Island. And I went and I read Treasure Island, and because I liked the character, and I was like, oh, I totally want to be in that world. And so now I was introduced to this other book because of it, which I wouldn't have had otherwise. So broadens your horizons.
Now I totally understand why I enjoy your company so much. As soon as you said Star Trek, my eyes glazed over and I was like, I found my
really?
I found my people. Yeah, I'm like such a Trekkie. Oh my God.
Yes.
I met Jonathan Frakes just by accident one day. And he was in my neighborhood. I guess he was doing an event in Toronto, and he was getting headshots printed at this local place. And I was this is how old I am. I was picking up my photos from the photo developer, and here he was, and I was like, number one, oh my God! And he had headshots of like Jean-Luc Picard and like all of them. So I guess he was the designated headshot picker upper for the signing event, right?
Were you like, do they know you have these photos?
Yeah. Are you being weird and you're just like creating altars to them at home? But he was such a gentleman, and I was like a blustering idiot. And instead of asking for a piece of paper, I was like, here's a receipt. Can you sign it? Yeah, ridiculous.
Did he sign it though?
Of course he did. But now I can't find it because it was a receipt. And I was probably like, oh, receipt. Yeah.
No.
If I find it, I'll have to search for it. If I find it, then but I would have been like triply. Can you stop? I would have been triply. Maybe she's upset that I met Jonathan Frakes.
She's upset that it wasn't a receipt that you can't find.
Yeah. She's like, stupid mother. If it had been Jean-Luc, oh, that would have been, yeah. Or the dear old James T. Anyway, so there we go. That's where, yeah. If you don't watch Star Trek or engage in it at all, people are gonna be like, who are these people? I don't understand.
Then but if they are Trekkies, they're going to like find their people just like we have.
Yes.
My very first novel length book that I wrote, I was 12 years old, and it was fanfic for Star Trek.
Nice. God, that's fantastic. And
it was James Kirk, by the way, that liked Treasure Island, and that's why I read it.
No way. That kind of makes sense. Yeah, I could see that. I think that there was an episode. Wasn't there an episode about him talking about it?
I read a book, one of the Star Trek books was talking about him and Treasure Island, and I got the book because of it, and like memorized some passages because James Kirk liked this book. It was one of his favorite books, so it has to be one of my favorite books too. Exactly.
God, he's legend. He's legendary. Hold on.
I think the one on the movies was Tale of Two Cities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Star Trek 2, I think that's what they commented.
They did have oh gosh, because sorry, Jean-Luc was a big reader too. like a big, yeah. We were talking about captains for those.
For Star Trek.
Oh
We're
God.
friends with them, and
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
connect that way.
I'm like, Jean-Luc is like, I buy him a gift card every year for
Jean-Luc is a Shakespeare man.
yeah. Okay. So, right. So you didn't have a background in writing, even though you've been writing so I don't believe it when you said I didn't have a background in writing. You did, because you've been writing all this time. I'm sorry.
But it's not like I went to school for creative writing or
that doesn't
particularly
matter.
literature,
That doesn't matter. But you did find the stages overwhelming, which I could see. Yeah, because there's a lot, it's a big learning curve. Like,
Oh yes, it is. If your background is something different and then you come into this, it's a whole new different world. And people who have been here, who have been working for this since the very beginning, understand it so easily. And when you mention it, they're like, well, yeah, that's clearly the next step. And I'm like, I don't know what the next step is.
clearly, I don't know, and I need help. But you were able to find a group. Sorry, I'm doing this weird list. I'm trying to keep the dog quiet. So I'm rubbing her.
Okay.
I'm rubbing her tush. I'm rubbing her hindquarter here. You found a local writers group and a supportive community, and they were able to, like, I guess, fill in the blanks or guide you in some way.
Right. This is fantastic because now you don't have to necessarily find a physical group. I mean, I recommend it because that's what helped me a lot. And you end up forming friendships even outside of the meeting or outside of writing because you can interact with each other that way. But with the internet and with all these groups out there that are supportive, some are toxic, so you have to be careful, but some are very supportive. And when you find that group, it helps you through so much. Not even just okay, what's the next step? How do I publish? What do I do next? It's also dealing with imposter syndrome or feeling like what you wrote was not good enough and how to make it better, or even in marketing and social media, like what works, what doesn't. And what I love about it is that there's so much support in the community. It's not like, I mean, again, there are toxic places, but in the places that you find that are good, they're like, well, this worked for me. This will work for you too this way. Or maybe this will work for you. And not preachy in a way like you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I've seen that. And that's so discouraging where it's like, really? I mean, I get it. You're enthusiastic about the way you do it, but to tell people, well, you're doing it wrong is so... There's a nice way to say things, and then there's a not nice. Well, obviously, I mean, I'm not teaching anyone new lessons here, but like you always want to try to be encouraging, especially when you're talking about creative pursuits. Like in anything, you want to be encouraging, right? But when you're dealing with something that a person has labored over for a great period of time, it's come from them, like literally from inside their head, from their heart. Just be as kind in your support, even because, like you said, some people are bullies. Like, well, you didn't do it my way, and so no wonder you're not a success. Like, it's just so toxic. Like, that's just,
right.
awful.
And some people, I do understand the psychology of some people wanting to feel better about themselves by making other people feel bad. So then they feel more superior. And that's what you really, really want to avoid. If you are getting that vibe from a group or somebody, that's not the person that you want to be with.
Yeah,
that's not the person that you need help. Yeah. That's a toxic relationship.
Yeah. And you think that it can only happen between like people who interact regularly, but no, you can find it obviously in the workplace. There's a million books out there about toxic workplace relationships, but you can find it like even in because I've done a lot of volunteer work. So volunteer situations when you only interact with the person once a month, let's say, it can be toxic in that way. And so, yeah, you have to figure out who has true motivation, or not motivation, but true intention, and those who have negative motivations to like tear you down.
And then when you do find, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when you do find the community, the benefits from that are incredible, and they multiply because whatever you contribute to the group, because I promise you, you have something to contribute. No matter how early in the game you're in there, you will have something to contribute. And whatever you contribute helps others. And then they in turn help you, and together you rise.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. Together we rise. Hold on, I'm a new tagline. Together we rise. Because it's the whole point of this. But because I was inspired by all of the kindness and collective, I don't think this is a word. I'm probably making up a word right now, but collectivity doesn't sound right. But
all words are made up. You're fine.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, so that's my word now. So everybody start using it. And some grammarian's gonna like put in the comments like that was a 18th century word originating from France.
See?
Yeah. I don't. But anyway, like I have gotten teary-eyed in the past talking about this community because it's very like lovely and very helpful, and the right ones, not the yes. wrong ones. But yeah, when you find those people, and you can form these long-lasting relationships because you obviously share the same passion, right? And then you can be, and if you go through certain things together, like I was just talking to a children's author, and she, through her writing, she got like a small community of local writers, and they did an event together. And instead of being competitors and being at different ends of the whatever fair they were at, or event, they were like, look, let's all get together. We're going to share story time. So we'll schedule different story times. And I'm like, that is such a good story. Rosie Tolley is who, and you'll see her video on here somewhere. And I thought, that's great, because they could have been like, okay, well, see ya.
And it's true, because when you think about it, right? If somebody buys your book, it's not the very last book they're ever going to buy in the world. They're going to look for other
book buyers.
Right, exactly.
Like, yeah, I mean, some people are like, oh, I'm just going to go look. And then they come out with like 17 books. Yeah. And I can't go to the bookstore anymore because I ran out of space. I mean, this is all decorative there, but in our den, it's like, it was completely full. I eventually, donated a lot, which I thought was going to force me to fill them up again, but I've tried to be good and go digital. But yeah, there's something intoxicating. And I don't know if you get this feeling, but when I'm in the bookstore and I see the books all out on the table and I smell the paper, it's like some sort of weird thing happens. And I'm like, I want you all.
That's what dead trees do to you.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe it's like I can recognize the tree spirits. I'm like, my fellow tree spirits, come home to me and I'll nurture you.
Yeah, so this community is like one of the most non-competitive communities possible out there, because you will share audience instead of like trying to steal one away from the other.
Well, I hope that the majority are like that, because there are people out there that are like terrible. I mean, I won't name names because luckily I haven't really interacted with any of them. And as having not published anything myself, I don't have to worry about that. So no, but I will be doing so. So yeah, so it's really, really important to be able to learn quickly how to identify those who don't have true intentions. Because if you're someone like me, like I just take everybody at face value, and then I'm like, oh, you're a bit of a dick, like after so long. So yeah, but I'm getting better at picking up on those cues. So you have to learn like what are sort of red flags and just danger signs, weird stuff. And then once you kind of you go through it with the first, you can quickly.
So the cool thing is, once you have your community, you can depend on them for that too. You can be like, hey, am I being weird, or is this person a little bit sketchy?
Yeah. And then they're like, nah, stay away. Yeah. It does happen. It's really good. It's funny enough, a friend of mine on Facebook got a friend request from someone I know. And the first thing she did was like, hey, do you know this person? And I was like, yeah, don't worry. They're cool. They're just whatever. And so you're right. Like you do ask other people. So let's talk about the book specifically. And then I want to talk about your geniusness in your marketing. It's so smart. Okay. So you already told us the first book was written in chapters, like short stories that you kind of grew and grew and grew and got stitched together, right? The second one, you did it a little different.
Yes. So the first one, I think, is what they would call pantsing, because you just wrote it out however the character was doing and without much planning. But the editing process of that was painful and long.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there
Because
were
you're
so many.
stitching. Yeah. Go. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah.
Yes, there's so many times where you're like, am I, if it feels, for me anyway, the editing process is difficult. So I feel more discouraged in a long editing process than a long writing process. So when it was there were a lot of times I'm like, what am I doing? I want to give up, whatever, right? And I needed a lot of encouragement to keep on going. And I'm glad I got that. Again, the right community for it. When Revenant came out, or rather when I started planning for Revenant, it was completely plotted. I had the chapters in there. I had the purpose for each chapter. I wrote it in order, and it was so much smoother. So from start to finish, it took a year, or less than a year, actually, because I believe I finished the first draft through it, or I went through most of the first draft or through NaNoWriMo on November. And then we went in for editing and cleaning up. And then by July, I believe, it was published. So that was a lot shorter than the 11 years, 10 years that I was working on the first book.
Yeah. It must have been like night and day. Like, what? Oh, that was fast. Did it happen? What?
Yeah. I took a little longer for the next book, for the last one in the series, because it is the last one. And I found myself procrastinating a lot. I was like procrastinating because I didn't want it to end. When I acknowledged that, when I was realizing the reason why I'm not writing was because it's getting closer and closer to the end, and I didn't want it to end. At least part of me also didn't want it to end. Then I realized, okay, I have to get this down.
So,
and now it's in the second draft. I'm working on the second draft. It went through my editor the first time. Second draft, so hopefully it'll be out there soon.
So just talking about series, how does one know when it's time to stop? Like, I know the trilogy is a major, obviously. If it's a trilogy, the third one's the end.
When do we start?
Yeah, that's a mystery, those trilogies. No, but I mean, like, what, because if you have a series, like, see, people have series that go beyond like just three, right? They have I'm trying to think of what would be instead of trilogy. They have pentilogies, like I made that up. The trademark. Okay, everybody go use it. Oh, I'm writing a pentilogy now. So that would be 5. Is it? No.
Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
Yeah. 5. Yeah. My husband's Greek. I should know these things, right? Anyway, and his mom's like, why you know speak Greek? I'm like, well, right now, today, what is this? December the 14th has taught us that I can't even remember what the number 5 is in Greek. So beloved mother-in-law, this is one of the reasons why I never learned Greek. Anyway, yeah. So how do you figure it out? How do you know? Like, okay,
when
I'm going to write a
first
trilogy.
published Reverie, I didn't even know that was going to continue. I meant for it to be just that one book. And people have said, like, oh, it ended really well in terms of it tied up some knots. So I mean, it tied up like the story. So you don't necessarily have to have a second, right? But then after the success of Reverie, people were asking for a second. They wanted more of her world. And so I wrote that in response to it, right? Like, okay. And then the third one, where I realized I was going to make it a trilogy, was because I wanted to have that completion in there. I didn't want her to keep on going with so many. I mean, there's all these adventures that might still happen to so many side characters. One of my readers was like, and then you can expand the world to a different dreamer and how their reaction is going to be. And then another dreamer. And I like that. I want that. I want people to do that. If somebody's so involved
go write your own fanfic.
Go for it. Yeah. Go for it. If I want somebody to be so involved in London's world that they want it to continue. But I also don't want them to get tired of it, right? And
Yeah.
knowing that this was going to be the final one was also like a little difficult, but it's definitely the final one. And I feel like each book, in my opinion, is better. Like when I wrote Revenant, I said, wow, I like this a lot better than Reverie. And now this one, I'm very proud of it, and I can't wait. I'm
That's
very
good.
excited for it.
Oh, that's so exciting. Excuse me. At the end, well, I mean, you're going through your second round of edits now, right? So, or you're implementing the first round. But anyway, are you sad? Like, is there some sadness? Because, yeah.
Yeah, there is, and I'm sure I'll feel it more when it's published, actually, because then then it becomes real. It's it. Technically, right now, I can still change the ending and then have a chance for it to keep on going. But it's funny because you can clearly tell that I hadn't planned it this way, because originally it was just Reverie with no title above it, with nothing that says the Wool Gathering series on it. And then Revenant came out and it became the Wool Gathering series because they're connected. But if I had thought this through from the very beginning, it would have been the Wool Gathering trilogy.
Oh, yeah. But that's the beauty of on-demand printing, right? You can just change it. Yeah. Oh, or you go to everybody's house that bought it. You're like, I'm here to do an author's signing. Yeah. And you like switch it out and you're like, okay, thanks. Yeah. Imagine like.
I actually think that maybe in the 5th anniversary of Reverie, I'll relaunch like a boxed series.
Oh, so
just
smart.
so I can have it on the top of it, the Wool Gathering series or the Wool Gathering trilogy on each one, and I can say which is book 1, which is book 2, and which is book 3. Because as a reader, that bothered me. It bothered me so much if there was a series and I didn't know where it started and what was next.
Right.
And here I am, that exact same thing.
Right. Like, but now I understand. Now I understand when like traditionally published authors, like especially in mystery, right? Because they have these ongoing characters that go throughout their narratives.
Where murders happen all around them all the time, but no one
which makes no sense.
Them.
Like honestly, it makes no sense. Like these small town murders, I'm like, why would you live there? Why? If someone's getting murdered all the time, but we just we keep reading. But anyway, so my point is that sometimes with the first one, it doesn't say it's the first one. And that must be what it is. The author was like, oh, I'm just going to write this one mystery. And then people are like, I love this character. I need more. And then they're like, oh, okay. Well, so and that's my typing. That's not actually what I look like when I'm typing. Imagine.
It's like marionetting, but typing also at the same time.
So, oh God, I probably just am going to be made into some sort of meme on the internet now. Great.
You can no longer make fun of tea time.
Yeah. So, what was I saying now? Because I'm marionetted my way out of my thought. Oh yeah. So, and then you go looking on it, like if you're on Amazon or like at the library, right? You're looking through and you're like, well, which is book 1? And then you get stressed out. And if I pick one up, not knowing it's part of a series, and they're like referencing like, oh, and when Harry's dog,
like,
captured that, and I'm like, Harry's dog, like who is Harry's dog? And yeah, so I get you. I get you on that. But don't worry. Like you said, there's always time for a box set, which is
a box set on the 5th anniversary. And I'm like, I that's going to be, I just want it to be on the shelf, it'd be nice to see there. And people are going to be like, how come you did right? I'll be like, well, you have to buy the box set.
Yeah. And you know what's I don't mean to point. Okay. I do that a lot to people and they're like, don't point at me. And I'm like, okay. I was just looking through because I'm trying to find some cover illustrators or cover designers to come on the show and talk about it. So I was browsing through, I was down some rabbit hole somewhere, and this designer had redesigned all of these old great books, like the Dracula, Frankenstein, this and that, right? And had just done a redesign and reissue. And I was like, that's genius. And so it just is like, it opened my mind. I mean, I know people launch new cover designs and all that stuff. But she was offering, I'm going to die. She was offering And I'm sorry to the listeners because that probably sounded awful. I'm like,
So let's repeat it.
5 times more. Sorry. People are like, oh, they throw their earphones out of their ears and hit stop. That's awful. I got 0 rating, -2 stars.
Not on my podcast. No.
Again, too much fun is being had, and I can't keep on track here. Something was happening. Anyway, re-release of stuff. And then it's exciting. And then if you change it up a little bit, people like, even though you may have another edition of it, you're like, oh, this one's really cute though, right? Yeah.
Right. See,
yeah.
and I'm appealing to all those obsessive compulsive people who need to have a box set and who need to have it written on it like me. So, catering to them.
Yeah. And, you can even like print it with your signature inside. Oh, but wait, that might end up causing like a whole bunch of identity theft.
My signature on books are not the signature for the bank. So it's all good.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about that. That is smart.
I don't recommend you use your bank signature when you sign books.
See, this is a new, so author's signature. I would have just been signing my own, I'm like, yeah, this is the one I used to sign my mortgage paper. They're like, take note. And what's your birthday, Amy?
Social Security number.
Yeah. What's your grandmother's name?
That'll be a podcast, right? Like, we're here to find out what your mother's maiden name is and what her favorite pet was. What street did you grow up on?
I'm like, these are weird podcast questions. Can you imagine how insane that is? Like, what?
We're just trying to get to know you.
Get stuck. That's the best. Oh God. Can you imagine how insane that would be? That would be like, and I'd be so stupid that I'd be like, these are very thought-provoking. And I'd start giving even more information. Well, my parents came from the old country. What old country is that? So,
it was a greenhouse with 4 trees on the property.
Yeah. They told me this story with my childhood best friend named. Oh my God. So yeah, just that signature. Gosh, that's. I don't know why I'm blown away by this, but I never even thought about that. So thank you.
Okay.
Like I'm kind of like
when I watched, or rather when I finally got this DVD back in the day, right? The DVD of we're back to Star Trek. Star Trek 6, like the Undiscovered Country, because that was their last movie. So at the end of the movie, they had each of the actors sign their names.
Yeah.
I literally froze it on William Shatner's name and traced it.
Oh my gosh. And you were like, look, William Shatner signed it in a really large format for me.
Large format.
He knew I wanted it on my wall. So he went extra large.
With a pencil.
Oh my God. Oh, but I don't think you could take that to the big, hi, I'm William Shatner. And they're like, did you transition? Like in time as well? Really, like
he sent me.
Oh yeah, I'm his heir. Yeah, I'm his heir. I'm Z Shatner. Thank you. I have his signature in this
signature. That's all you need.
It's like those big fake checks. You're like, here. Oh my God. Okay. This is the best. Now let's talk about your genius merchandising here. Oh, okay. First of all, open up your writing shirt. Show us the goods, lady. Yeah. See? Okay. So number 1, where did you get those made?
We made it.
Oh. Self-made. Look at that. You're like a multi-talented, what are they? A triple threat. Writer, comedian, t-shirt maker.
Well, you know what? My husband is actually the most talented person I know. And he helped me clean up my cover. So when I drew it, I said, hey, here's what I want the cover to look like. And I said, could you clean up the title? And he said, no. He goes, that's not a font. That's actually what you drew. So it's a drawing. I'm not cleaning that up. So if you look closely on the title, it's not as smooth as it normally would have been if it was a regular title, because it's artwork.
Right.
And he respected that. And he said, okay, we're going to do it this way. And then he'll give me suggestions like, oh, that's a little too dark. That's a little too light. Here's a cool thing with the hardcover, and I have it right here.
Oh, look at that. It's like you were prepared or something.
Like I'm prepared. In the hardcover, they have like a little secret thing wherein the cover underneath is different
Oh, fancy.
from
Oh,
thin.
yeah. Okay.
And even better with Revenant, it's so much more dramatic because so you've got that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And it's getting progressively more dramatic because the third one is even more dramatic.
Like, is it like a pop out?
Huh? Oh my
London-
gosh, wouldn't that be so cool?
London pops out.
Boom. No, confetti and glitter.
Oh yeah, people would love you. They'd be like, "Oh my god." I love the covers.
Amy's idea.
Blame it on her. I love the covers. They're very striking. So good
Thank
job.
you.
Yeah, good job on the covers. But then you also have, but there's also a really cool poster behind you. And what's that all about?
Oh, I had a talk at a library, and I walked in, and they have in front of their library, they had these big signs that looked like a movie thing, like
Yeah.
now showing, coming soon. So they had in front, and me being the seasoned professional author that I am, I was taking selfies with it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I was in front going, look at me, right? And the librarian behind the desk was like, did you want to take it home after the event?
Oh, so that's all. So that was them? They created that?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I said, oh, yeah. She goes, well, it's after the event. We're just going to replace it anyway. So I got it.
Oh, but we're just gonna throw it out anyway. Then your poor face is in the garbage, and someone's like, "Oh, I'll take it home." That's awesome that they set it up for you and they did that. That's
Yes.
amazing.
I
Libraries.
got,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, libraries rock.
Oh God, they're so great. And
Made
sorry,
me feel like a superstar.
well, no kidding, because I was like, wow, I thought your very talented husband did that. And I'm like, I
Well,
need your very
actually-
talented husband to. Oh, he did?
He was the graphic designer for that particular library at that time.
Oh, so he put extra effort. He's like, I've got to make this look the best way possible. I gotta hire your husband because his work is really good. So
I agree. His work is
Yeah.
really good.
hire him for what? I don't know.
Marketing.
Oh, marketing. Yes. Oh my gosh, we'll talk about that after. Okay. But the candles. And I'm going to
Yes.
insert pictures of candles here. I was so excited to hear about this.
You know how we talked earlier about the community and building, and appropriately too, because I'm a big fan of collaborations. And so with a lot of my merch, I collaborated with local artists for it to happen. And the candles were produced by Happy Little Flame, which is a local candle maker.
Little Flame is not a cute
Happy Little
name.
Flame. And it was such a wonderful experience because I came up to them and I said, I'd like this for my book. And they do custom candles that are proprietary blends for it. So there's no other candle that smells like this because it's really blended for Reverie. And even if you go to Happy Little Flame and say, okay, I want this, they're saying, well, that's a Reverie candle. And what
Yeah.
they did when they came up there is I said, okay, I want it for the book, and this is what the book themes are like. And so she prepared like a series of different blends, whatever certain scents that she thought would be appropriate for what I wanted, and in different proportions. She put in little containers. I don't know if I have any. And she said, let it sit and then come and smell them again, and then tell me which ones you want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. So I felt like one of those production managers.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
testing the products, and I'm
Yeah.
like, not quite right. Yes.
There's a
yes,
top
this.
note of something I'm not sure about.
It has notes of magic.
Feel like I could cast a spell right now.
Right.
So that's so exciting. So you've got how many different scents that
So there
are
are two, one for each book right now. So there are the candles. And then I worked with another local artist and made what we call book bling, which it's a ribbon and insert picture here.
yeah, okay, yeah, book blink, okay, on it,
Book
yep.
bling.
Point off to the side. Perfect. Okay, there. All right, that's where it will be inserted. Yep, in our
And it's
our
nice. It's
post
a
editing.
jewel.
Yeah.
It's a jewel, and on one side it has the logo of the Wool Gathering series, and the other side the book cover. And it's a little ribbon so that you can use it like as a bookmark. But it's
So
so
smart.
pretty. It's like jewelry for books.
So smart.
So
Where did
we
you
had
come up with
that.
that? Where, like, how did you discover that?
So she would make different bookmarks. And at first, what was I asking her for? I think I was asking her for a pin or like a clip or something, because there's a budget for these things. And she
Yeah.
goes, well, what about this? And I'm like, exactly that. And what she does is she caters it to the colors of the book
So
and
smart.
the style. So even like she's done it with other things, and the jewel is just like, let's say, in a circle, right? But for Reverie and Revenant, it's a moon. And then it's like the thing. It was just perfect. Like she did a really
Awesome.
great job.
Yeah.
And she did like little buttons for it and magnets. So when Revenant came out, she made these little magnets that had the logo with the background of the book in Reverie and Revenant, and then the cover of Reverie and Revenant. And I thought it was such a cute set to have. We've got
So
that.
smart.
We've got stickers. What else have we got? Trying to remember what else.
But it's so great.
Bookmark, of course.
So the bookmark idea, like I love the bookmark idea, first of all, because it just makes sense, right? Another author I was talking to did a bookmark where they have their, like, what's that code called? That one in the back
QR
there.
code.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Like, young fellow, what's that code in the back? You're not even a fellow. Like, yeah. Let me just get my cane so I can point to it. There, over there.
It's technology and magic, mister.
God. Oh, and then I heard about your bespoke candles, and I was like, so genius. So you inspired me to contact a local artist here. He does laser etching in wood. And I was like, oh, because I want to settle on stuff and maybe have a couple little things just in case people want to write. That's like indie author, and like nobody steal this because it'll probably already be started by the time. So nobody steal my idea out there. Whatever I'm on, what am I on? YouTube and any other platform. But yeah, like something. So it's like good looking and relates to writing and has.
It'll have your QR code.
Oh, see, you're so smart. Include. You might have to be my creative lead. No, what are they called? I called my husband it last night. I was like, "You're my creative." Oh man, something. And he's like,
"I will answer to master."
Oh, okay. You're my creative master. Is that what you're saying, or just master?
Either way, that'll work.
On bookmark. Yeah. So, and he was like, "No, I don't want anything." And I'm like, "Yeah, because you do nothing. You don't even." Because I'm like, "Have you started my intro yet?" And he's like, "I've been thinking about it." I'm like, "What am I paying you for?" And he's like, "Well, you're not.
You're not paying me."
What? Like, and I'm like, "I made you dinner." I wash your socks. I mean, I don't know what else a person can do. Anyway, yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, so you inspired me to contact a local person, and because I was like, it's really important to support your local, right? And he got back to me and he's like, absolutely, we can work on something. And I was like, oh my God, I'm just like Zed. I'm just like Zed. And so
It's great. Like, I love it when you work with other. And then what I do on my book launch is that I would have like a door prize kind of thing. So if you bought a book, then you would have little ticket in there. And then the stuff that's in it are like extra things. It's, and for Revenant, I had a local artist knit like this blanket that was integral to the story. So I put it in there and I'm like, here, this is what you can win and stuff. So now my whole idea is when you're reading the book, you can put a shawl on, read it, light a candle, get in the mood,
So smart. So
everything.
smart. And speaking of getting in the mood, but not in that mood, this that you're wearing right now is your designated writing like a little
writing writing jacket. I felt like I need to designate something so that when I put it on, I will be in my writing space.
Because
so
you
then
write
I just have it off the side.
Yeah, because you write at home, right? Like you do, I mean, where else would you necessarily
And
write? Like,
even if I write at a local coffee shop, I think it'll fit right in. I just put it
yeah,
over.
yeah.
Like it's got the bat wing things.
Yeah, perfect. So
cozy.
It's important to be comfortable when you're writing, because if you're not comfortable, then that takes it away. Like it takes your mind off of what you're doing. Like I treated myself, okay, no one can see what this chair is, but this chair it's a family heirloom, and it's not really, but I mean, it's
I'll believe you.
Yeah.
I choose to believe you.
If you can see the top, right? It's a bentwood. I put blankets on it. It's a bentwood, rattan type of chair that my mom had for a million years. And then she gave, because it has arms. And anyway, so I needed a chair with arms for a little while because I wasn't able to get out of chairs because I was really sick. So I needed leverage to get up, right? To push myself up. So she gave me this chair. I never gave it back to her, which she was fine with. But I bought myself a new chair, like, because this one, I feel like my tailbone is going to shoot through my skin because it's not very comfortable. So it's important that you have comfort in this activity, because if I sit here for more than a couple hours, I literally have to like sort of roll onto the floor and roll away.
It's distracting. Yeah, it is distracting. And it's enough. There is enough to distract us as it is.
Yeah.
So we try to but I'm thinking, maybe I'll start like embroidering the names of my books on it.
So smart
thing.
Yeah,
that'll be my thing.
yeah. And then just another hidden talent, and I am also an embroiderer. So
oh no, I really am not.
Well, I have faith that you'd be able to pick it up, no problem. So do you have a goal for your new, are you doing a pre-order thing for your newest book, or you're just wait? Nope.
Yes. And the thing is, with all my pre-orders, they come with exclusive merch.
Ooh.
So since we're talking about merches anyway, when Reverie first came out, it had a foil bookmark, and it only came out to whoever pre-ordered, and we had a maximum, I believe, of 75. I think I cut it off at 75 or at 100. And so it was foil, it looked really nice, and it was fancy. And then for Revenant, I did the same thing, but like completely like a different bookmark. So now I have to do it for the third book, because it's a collection of people, like, your OG will gather if you've got these things. And then when Revenant came out, I'm like looking to see if I got it, but I don't think I have it here.
Insert picture.
No, I have other stuff here, but I can't find it. It's a pin, one of those enamel pins.
Mm-hmm.
Of the Wool Gathering logo, which, by the way, my husband created. Like, awesome. He drew that out. So it had those pins, those enamel pins, and you only could get it if you pre-ordered.
So smart.
So this last one, I'm very excited. I haven't launched it yet because I want to make sure the book's finished first before I did. But there's going to be a very fancy bracelet that's going to be part of it. So it's just ramping up. Like, the pre-order presents or the pre-order merch is like getting more and more expensive.
Yeah, but wow, what great ideas though. Like, honestly, and the people who know about this, like who know about these pre-order perks, are going to be running to get it. So do you communicate all this on social media? Like my pre-orders
Yes.
coming up? Yeah. So
Yes.
do you find that you get a lot of, or do you find that you get your following grows through social media? Have you seen a
Not as large as I would like. I believe I had one reader that said to me, "How is your followers so small? It should be greater than this." And I'm like,
you're like, well, tell people. That's why, because of people like you.
write me a review,
Yeah.
share it with people.
So yeah, this is the reason why I do this too, because with Hope, this will, it won't just be my mother watching this. Like that's my hope. That this gives you guys sort of you're becoming exposed to a broader audience.
Another platform.
Yes, let's hope, right? Because it's just exactly to do this for you guys. So yeah, so anyway, it's very exciting. So do you have a target date of when you want it out, or no?
I think hopefully around March it should be out.
Okay.
But I also don't want to rush it. I want to make
Yeah.
sure that it's done properly.
Yeah.
And each book that comes in pre-order comes in, it's a book, little book bag that has a logo on it. So
You attention to detail. Take note. This is
I am such a
amazing.
merch person to begin with. Like I like it in the world that I enjoy. I like having all the stuff that's in it. Like as a Trekkie, come on,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the merch. You
yeah.
know, it's like fun.
100%.
Right, in my own little world. And my husband's big on this because he's also a merch kind of guy. He was
Yeah.
like, we need to do this and this and this. So he's been a very good driving force for all of this.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you're giving me ideas about when, like, because I'm hoping to launch this in January, and I was like, maybe I should do like 100 subscribers. That's how sad it. I'm like, maybe I'll get 100 subscribers, and the 100th can win. Or like
Yeah.
those like share and tag type things.
Yeah.
I'll maybe do a couple of those things just to get it going.
Oh, it's
And
funny because my son 2 years ago when he started his YouTube channel, it's a teenage boy doing a YouTube channel, and I went on Facebook and I was like, hey everybody, if he gets to 100, because I think he had like 65 followers. And I said, if he gets to 100, he gets his own URL. And I'm like, come on, guys, can you follow him to get him to 100? And I was teasing him. I said, you know what? I got you. It'll be 100 by the end of the day. Who's not going to help like a little kid, right? Well, he wasn't little, but who can help? Who's not going to help a kid? So he gets to 100 the next day. I remember he was like, yay, all my mom's friends are following me. But 2 years later, this kid has like 2 million followers.
what?
And I'm like, could you like throw some my way?
Like I essentially got you going. Like,
Yeah, no, don't forget who got you started. If you didn't have this URL, you would never have had 2 million followers.
if you didn't have me, you wouldn't have had a life to get the URL. Like play the mom guilt. Be like, what?
I'm saving that.
Oh yeah, smart. Yeah. But still, wow, good for him. What does he do on his channel?
He does music. I think he mixes music. He solves Rubik's cubes and he plays video games.
See, there's an audience for everything. I mean, good for him with the music. The
Yes.
Rubik's Cube shows that he has good analytical mind and good spatial whatever and dexterity. So good for him. And I guess the video games are doing something. Yeah,
Are catering to his audience.
Yes, exactly. And I guess that's the big thing with the youth of today. All that Twitch streaming on Twitch. See, I'm kind of with it. Oh, I just noticed that you can see the dog bowls in the background. Great. Okay. For those listening,
now I'm looking.
Yeah, see down there, yellow and pink.
Oh.
I tried to kick them out of the way. So for those listening, I'll have to do a visual descript. She points to the floor where there's a little bit of de-gutted toy. That white fluff is from a toy that Tilly destroyed the other night. So that's the toy's guts right there that I didn't pick up. And 2 dog bowls that are,
nobody can tell what that is until you point it out.
well, now everyone's gonna point it out. And every video they'll be like, where are the dog bowls?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're gonna be all looking.
That should be, if you can spot the dog bowls, you would.
You should hide something. You should have one thing and hide it somewhere else behind you every single episode. And the first person who can find it gets like a bonus or something.
So smart.
You get a shout out.
Obvious. Yeah. So, okay, I'd love to have you back. If this channel succeeds, please, everybody get all your mom friends to follow me. When the new book comes out.
That'll be great.
To talk about that and anything else, any other ticks. Don't get a tick. You don't need Lyme's disease. Any other tips and tricks that you have implemented along the way for this new one, that would be fantastic. And it's been such a joy. My goodness. I love you. Can I be part of your gang, your community?
Of
might
course.
Make me start
We
writing.
welcome like-minded people.
Okay, good. Okay, wonderful.
Plus you're a Trekkie, so you've got the fast pass.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to. Oh my goodness, that should be
That's the entrance.
And again, if you're a Trekkie, comment down below on what movie that was from.
There you go.
Yeah.
But then the difficulty is that there are 2 movies that was from.
Yeah. Which one am I thinking of?
Which one am I thinking of?
Read my mind.
How you say it, right? That's what people are gonna know.
That's awesome. And thank you. So all of your stuff is going to be listed below. Anything Z related for you Americans, Z related will be down below. and us, in the colonies or whatever, in the Commonwealth, I think we're called the Commonwealth now. Z, anything Z related. But it is actually ZEE, right? Z.
Right. If it's just the Z, then it's Z. But with the 2 E's, it's definitely
it's Z.
Z.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm betrayed my country and my people.
I tell people that because they go and they go, Z, how do you spell that? And I'm like, it's ZEE, because if it was just ZE, it would be Z. And if it's just Z, it would be Z. So there has to be 2 E's in there.
Yeah, that's very smart. And yes, thank you. This was such a delight. So much excellent information. I took a bunch of notes that I will share down below. And I love this down below. I just feel like it's just this like cavern of knowledge when it's just the description, but I like to call it down below because it sounds
it's like Australia.
Yeah. I'm not even going to do an Australian accent because I'll get kicked off. Like no one, they'll like the unfollows.
And
will
she's
just, like,
racist.
no, they'll be like, that was pathetic. I know I'm something in me is fighting to do it. Like they're like channel your inner Crocodile Dundee. Okay. Like total stereotype, but I'm not doing it. I'm stopping this meeting now very seriously. And I'm not looking at you with your, trying to bring my inner Australian out, mate. Okay. Okay. All right. So thank you. This has been the most fun I've had on Indie Authors. So thank you for your time. Thank you for being amazing, smart, funny, talented, wonderful books, bringing these books, this character to life. And we'll see you with the new release.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. It was such a great time.